And now the real magic. I'm going to show y'all how to use this this magic on Solomon's seal of Saturn. It sounds pretty evil, and it was written that way on purpose. So this is in this series on Asia, which I've been pronouncing wrong. It's actually Asa. Asa as in like gasoline. And this is going in a folder where I read, there's 3 more in it where I read the first 6 lines. In the first one, it talks about going out and gathering honey and yew wood. And then the second one is just line 7, where it talks about starting up the brew. Grinding up the yew wood and put it in the honey in a brew pot. And then the third one I just added in there. It was another chapter, but it was the last line. It talks about when Asa died, and I thought it fit in there real well to help understand. But this is all the men of war. And so the men of war, the word for war in the Hebrew Bible is alchemy, alchemy, from alchemy. And so you better believe that everything when it's talking about war, the tools of war are all the tools of alchemy. So let me get started. You're not going to see my face anymore in here. So these are the seals or pentacles. This is the Pentacles of Solomon here. I've yet to see anyone understand any of this. But in the Hebrew Bible, when it calls upon the armies who carried shields and spears, this is what it's talking about. Shields and spears. You see how there's a different word for shield here. The mag in the sign. And then it give you a number of the hundreds of thousands. And so it's telling you clues of which shields. And so that's the shields. These are shields. And you can see, at the end, they all through the Bible they have these P's and these S's, and usually they're at the end of the line, and once in a while they'll put them in the middle of the line here, but this is the S for secret. It means the secret of the pinnacle of 300,000 from Benjamin. And so I started to read this, and it's the wage Lasahile nose of who carried. And so I clicked on this nose, I had an idea, but I want to get a better idea of the different interpretations they give it. The first one is forgives, but you just take that 4 off. It's gives. You can see it in sets, and the bearer, the one who's bearing it is the one who's going to give it up, who's carrying. And so what I did, I pulled this line 8 off, and I pulled off the Greek and put them side by side. And this is going to help us get a better definition to some of these words. And so over here in the Hebrew, it starts with the wage. I pronounce this wage, how you get by is your wage. How you're going to get by in life is your job. How you're going to get on the boat. You're going to be a sword bearer. You're going to be an oarsman. And so the wage of Lassa, Hyle. And so Hyle, you're going to learn more about Hyle than all these geniuses here at Wikipedia. But they say in philosophy, Hyle, ancient Greek, come from a ULH, refers to matter or stuff. It can also be the material cause underlying a change. And it was taken from the word meaning wood, adapted from the word for wood. The idea that everything physical is made from the same basic substance holds up to well under modern science. So this is the Hyle. Hyle is the dark matter, and it's what you're trying to pull together in the process. This is all the process, and you're trying to extract the Hyle, the dark matter creation. And so we can look over here in the Greek, and it's kind of the same thing. You can see, the key replaces the Carter key here, the thing that holds your wheel on. Vav key. And so it means, and, to, or W, or V, or U. And so you can see the wage in two here. Same here, the wage, W-I-E-J, the wage, and here's the W-E-G-E-N-E-T-O, the wage in it too. And this two, this comes from the L over here. They replaced the L, and it better means of. The wage of Asa. Asa is in gasoline. And so it's the wage into Asa. A force of armor bearers. The dino. Dino comes from the ancient sign of the back end of a lion is a dino. The power source is a dino. The dynamis is the dino from S-O-P-L-O F-O-R-O on. The power from supple offering. And so the wage of Asahel knows, of who carried. And so you can see here that, it's the wage into Asa, the powers of supple offering, of lifting, the air, A-I-R-O-N, the air on T-O-2-N-C, the air onto seed. And what the air onto seed is a smell. You don't see it, you don't hear it, but you know it's there because you knows it. You knows it's there. So in the business of brewing, the nose of a wine is to describe the scents and aromas that a glass of wine gives off. It's what you're smelling. So the aroma, comes from the air from has. And so this first shield, that's why these words are different from shields. This one's mag and this one's hexene, X-N-E, hexene. And so the wage of Asa, Asa is where your word gasoline come from. It means the distiller. Asa was, they say, is the healer or the doctor, but he's actually the process of distillation. The wage of Asa, the Lessa, Hyle. The smell of hexene, warm, W-R-M, warm divide. And so when you warm up this brew, to distill it, you first smell the hexene. That's when you know it's at the right temperature, the smell of hexene. Hexene has a boiling point of 145 degrees. You don't want to, when you're distilling something, you don't want to get it too hot. You just want to get it warm enough to extract what you're wanting, just warm enough to get the hexene out. You don't want all the other trash. With this smell of hexene, warm, W-R-M-H, to divide, the warm divide. From you wood, M-Y-E-W-D-E, from you wood, the souls from out pull. Pull is a word we use when we're cooking something up, to take a pull off of it. And the souls from out pull. And so I learned, in the writings of Noah's Ark, that the Greeks were near as up to time as the Hebrews. But it's the air on to seed, their ruse, the ruse, to awaken to dorada. That's where your word door come from, the door to. The smell's going to make you want to leave. And that's where your word adore come from, adora. So Dora is the Greek name for God's gift, the gift. The power of the supple offering of the air onto the ruse to the gift, to God's gift to in you would. And so God's gift is a baby. And that's where your word dorado comes from. Dorado is the color brown. And it's where your word doo-doo comes from, and you get a lot of it from babies, from God's gift. And so the Greeks didn't understand hexene. They just said it smells like shit. The air onto seed the ruse. To the door to run away because it smells adorable, like God's gift to the brown. And then the tree Akusi, the Chalades, and then Bingman, the time man, pelt as tie. The time man, the Benjamin, the time man, pellet as tie. To the toxicity. This 300 I always go to my go-to. This is my go-to, the 300. The 300 is Saturn. You can see here, Saturn is the 3. But they got one of these backwards. This is a mirror image. You see his right hand is on 4. When you look at this, your right hand is on 4. And so they got Saturn backwards here, but it's the 3. He's the time man. He's the time king. The Saturn, he's the bang man. He's the chronos, the chronology, time. And he's time, and he's the one that's going to come get you in your time. From the you would souls from outpull. You would souls from outpull. He's the one that comes and gets your souls. And from the Bing man, the timekeeper, the seal, connected from the timekeeper, from Saturn, the seal of Saturn, the nose, and it has an I after it here, and it's just a little different. Men who carried the nose image, IMGN, the nose imaging, to Drakey fist. Fistmatize. Hypnotize, when you get somebody to do something by hypnotizing. Well, fistmatize means to threaten somebody. They're scared of your fist and they're going to matize. They're going to do what you want. Fistmatize. To summon. To SMUN. To summon is. To the nose yod magan, the seal. To the dark work. Fistmatize. To summon is. So if you just Google Solomon's Pentacles, you'll find this page here, the Carolina Conjure, and it's got a list of all the seals, the planetary seals here, and tells about them from the Sun and the Saturn will be on the bottom. And you can read about them here, and it'll give you a clue. But when you get up to this one here, it says, this seal is liked by those who wish to impose their will upon others. It means to fistmatize them. Impose your will. Hey, you're going to do this or I'm going to beat the hell out of you. You've been fistmatized. Also alleged to bring good news to the possessor. And so if you look on the nose, it's got this yod right here. The nose. You can see this one was spelled different. This one is the nose yod. The men who carried the magan. The nose imaging. To direct, make, fistmatize. To summon is pull, the cull, the cull, to separate out. The lowly, E, and backwards and forwards after this tack. The lowly, gubber, make hile. To gubber, to lift in where, make hile. So once you find the ones that you want, you can Google them and you can find better images of them. It's easier. And you might want to pull a couple of them off because some of the bad image you might not realize, but this is actually another language. And anything with these little circles on the end of the letters, this is called crossing the river. And you'll have to pull up another chart. And the letters have the same meanings, they just have different, you have to figure out which letter it is because they have a different look. And so this is definitely the seal of fistmatize. You can see, the end of the line here, so it starts here. It's the shmo. The shmo is rule. You annihile starts with A and reads backwards. U-N-I-E-L-A. You annihile, or win yella. The shmo is rule. You win yella. You. And then this is the word for day one, and it's Da, D-H-A. And so Da is the way, the Tao. This is the Indian letter for Jupiter, or Tao, the way, is what it means. And so the shmo, is to consume from the eye. And you might read that as some see. Some see is rule you to annihile. When yellow. When they're yellow, you can rule them. And you're your way. Y-E-W-E. You. Tao. Your way. And so it says to call the lowly. To lift in where make high. And so, this is the process here. And so out here in the high, so this is who lavish. Every time it says, and God dressed them, it says who lavish and gaudies. But this is who lavish, who put on, who put in. Who put in hell, E-L-L-E, hell. Them come do, You're still fistmatizing. What ba? WTBA, what ba? Ba is your reputation. Your ka and your ba, your ka is your life-giving soul, and your ba is the reputation you left behind. To come is, what's ba? What's your reputation? Come is in Kraken, B-K-R-K-B. In Kraken, Kraken is the sea monster that ate the pearl, the black pearl. To cause men, Vav, to K-S-M-N, to cause men. To box them with tide. Box them with tide. The box them is, and sometimes when it talks about your bones, it talks about the box from in. Talking about your casket, the box them with tide. Who put on hell the come do? What reputation come is in Kraken to cause men to box them a tide, to box from what tide, to box from what hand. And so this is the process here. And this is the Heil on the outside. And so the secret, the secret is connected from the Bing Man, from the timekeeper, from Kronos, the seal of Solomon, of Saturn, Kronos. The nose make Magan, the nose imaging, to direct make the fistmatize, to threaten. To summon is pull, to summon, to consume from, to connect the seed work from. The seed work, the seed is all the little letters. To pull the call, to separate out, to call the lowly, to lift in where make high. And so it's saying to use the process here to take out some of these here letters here, out here in the Heil. Put them through the process where you're just going to select the letters that you want to get the code out of here. And so this is the war, it's alchemy. And it's the same as distilling. You're going to get it just warm enough just to remove what you want. And so this is going to, when you pull out the right letters, the rest of the vial is going to read, is going to have the code in it. And so this is distilling, to just remove what you want. So over here in the Greek it reads a little different, the air, the smell, the ruse to the door, act. In the U wood. And the trick as C, the trick is C. Charades. Like charades where, you're trying to get them to say the word, but you can't tell them the word. It's charades, it's in there, it's hidden in there. The trick to see, charades, connected in the Kronos in Saturn. The pelt is tie, the pelt, the outer, in the outer of the shield, to the toxicity, the toxicity. Toxicity comes from the taxus. Everything in this U family is a taxus. It's toxic. And this Candor U is initial source of paclitaxel or Taxol. It's a chemotherapy drug for cancer, breast cancer, lung cancer. And it was harvested and extracted from the bark of the U. And you would find this tree, in all the old churchyards. And a lot of times the tree was way older than the church. They'd build a church around the tree. Because back in the day, a church was not what it is today. The church was the hospital. You went to get treated. In Norse mythology, the abode of the god of the bow, the fist, the reddish brown, the dorada, the reddish brown, dorada, brown, mixture of orange and brown, a reddish brown. Pelt as tie to the toxicity, the bowman, the fist. And the dikuse, age, to the ogdo, to the 8-ton count. So maybe they're pulling every 8th letter out of the chalades. The pant is, pan is the surrounding. The pant is out to, to take out every 8th. Out to polamisti, the mistie. The polamisti, the power, the dino, from this as, from the dino me as. So I think they have a different set of seals written in Greek for this Greek side. And word is, when the Bible first got there to Greece, a lot of women were imprisoned for killing their husband, possibly for trying to cook up a love potion and misreading this. Because if you weren't in, if you might not know the secret that, like you always subtract 1 from the number given. Like on this Indiana Jones staff, the guy got it burned into his hand, but he only had one side of it. And he didn't read the opposite side where it said subtract 1 unit. And so his staff was the wrong length, and he was getting the wrong position. And so it appears that, these writers of Indiana Jones, they knew what was going on. You can see here this word for Jehovah in here. And it says, where from the cat from all codes, QDS. Where from the cat from all codes, subide. You and them sets first. And then on the back side it says the T, the mark, take from, the come to, come to, that's your Hebrew word for height. You know, how high are you coming up to today? When your kids are growing, the come to. And so the mark take from the height, from the come to. And so I'm not the only person that knows how to read this. There's people up there that know how to read this. But it's right here. Consume from the eye. You know, in the eye is the eye. The 10 is rule. The 10 is rule. To you connect the cycle to make divine knowledge. Connect the cycle to make divine knowledge. Connect the 10 in the cycle into you, your way, your path. And so this was made to sound evil, you know, to scare people off. But where, you know, it says the 8 in the Greek, I believe it's the 10 here. And so it's telling you to distill. And it's probably every 10th letter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the ka. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the yod. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know what this is down here. If it's a marker because they couldn't get it to spell right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is the M. K-I-M. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hopefully as I read on down this, it's going to give me some more code here. And there's only, I think, 14 lines in this. Just 14 lines in this. And it appears like the code is there. So I'm going to cut this off here. A good day.